So I've got Helen here. She is from Red Clay Media. Helen, tell us who are you?
So Red Clay Media, the ethos of the agency is to have integrated digital experience. So it's everything from user experience and development right through to marketing and social media and emails. So we produce everything. Just by connecting the whole journey, you're creating immersive, cohesive and coherent journeys for the customer, because of course it doesn't start and end with one touch point. It's through everything, because that's people aren't linear in their thinking. So that's the ethos of Red Clay. So we offer an agency that's integrated and offers a content first design.
Right. So content first. What does that mean in the practical terms? What is content first? Why should content be first?
That's a great question. So content is the thing that everybody interacts with. So on average, a UK person spends about 7 hours consuming content a day, and all of that is through language. It's all linguistics. It's the thing that built civilizations, right? And if misused or absent, it destroys civilizations. So it's the most important thing. It's the thing that everybody interacts with, and it's what takes you from being a passive viewer to being an advocate for your business or anything that you have to promote. It could be activism, it could be a political ideology, whatever it is. It's the words and it's the power of that language, and then designing a journey around those words is more critical than designing a journey that you then have to crowbar words into.
And this is a question I get a lot in Production 3. So at the moment, content is so about social media content, but the content includes so many other things. So do you mind sharing what could be a very, if I were to prioritize content asset for Production 3, how should I start from first? Is there a hierarchy to the content from sales and marketing perspective? Tell us what content really is.
So I would say this, but content is everything.
Yeah.
So you should really prioritize your call to action. So anything that you put on social media or email marketing or anything that you do, what are you pointing people to? And you've got to make sure that click to whatever it is that you want them to buy or lead capture or whatever that is, that's got to be on point. So make sure whatever it is that if you want people to buy or put in their details, that is slick. And it's not a case of you've built this beautiful social media plan and this high production video. If you're then sending them to something that doesn't carry through that lifestyle you've promised them from that social media post, then you've lost people. It needs to carry through. Every click needs to sell that lifestyle, especially the critical click, which is where people buy or put in their details or subscribe or whatever it is that you want them to do.
Yeah.
So make sure that whatever that your CTA is pointing to reflects your beautiful marketing and your beautiful creative.
Okay, and from the proportion wise, so you've worked in Aviva, you've worked, consulted for Vanguard. Give us a bit of a enterprise, perspective on how a business should be managing content, from the content management system to, or the production to the distribution. So give us a walkthrough through that journey.
Yeah, I love that you've asked me this. It's so important. It's something I'm really passionate about. So I've worked for FTSE 100 companies for 25 years. So yeah, no one's really nailed it, but you need a content supply chain. So, and that's everything from managing your approvals to the content creation to actually briefing it in and doing that demand management piece right through to delivery, and then analysing how well that's landed and then going back and doing the continuous improvement piece. So that's the beauty of content. It's a living, breathing thing, and it's not something you could just leave there to die. You need to constantly check on it, make sure it's okay, feed it, water it like you do with plants, to make it the best that it can be. You can't just immediately dismiss it because it's, we've not had the traffic that we wanted. It could just be something as simple as adjust a headline, or you need better CTAs, or your CTAs need to be further up the page, or it need to be clearer. So having that content supply chain from brief, where you're briefing it into a central team, and then that central team will be responsible for making sure that that message appears in every single touch point, in every single channel. So I want to open an account, we want to sell a new account to people, from the above the line execution right through to the email, it should be the same content person looking at the whole thing to make sure there's cohesion in that messaging, and that when someone clicks on an email and then it goes to a web page, it's not repeating, or even worse, saying something contradictory, that there is that smooth, seamless flow between different channels.
Yeah.
And that can only be done if you centralise a content team, and that content team is responsible for having a look at the whole journey, not just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Most companies, they have very siloed workings. They'll have a team of freelancers, agencies, they'll have content teams in CRM who do the emails, content teams on digital side who do all the web pages, but all of that needs to be handled by one person, not different silos. Silo is actually a silent tax that is killing ROI. So 25% of
I love that.
of our ROI is impacted by the fact that you've got silos and there's all these business inefficiencies, which is something that Red Clay wants to stamp out, really, because that's why we offer everything under one roof. So there is not that silo, and everything is cohesive and works properly. And of course, it limits all the admin as well. No one wants to manage lots and lots of different agencies and freelancers and internal teams.
Yeah.
And having that one point of contact that looks at the whole thing makes it a lot easier, as well as business efficient.
Yeah, and it's the other thing is the tone of that message, isn't it? So I've had in the past where I worked for this company where we were the message was the same, but because there were two different teams who were quite disintegrated, but understood the main aim of the message, delivered the same sort of message out through different distribution channels, and the tone was completely different. Have you had that experience before?
Oh yeah. So I rolled out a brand new global tone of voice for Aviva. And it was a bit game changing, because tone of voices tend to have three pillars, which is it clear, is it friendly, and is it concise, or empathetic is another one. Whereas this one was grounded in behavioural science, so it was using lots of behavioural science principles to make sure that the brand was distinctive, because lots of finance brands will sound the same, and also using lots of tricks to make sure that it's memorable as well as distinctive. And we found that within 2 clicks, the tone of voice completely disappeared. So then I had to become a sponsor of a huge digital transformation, which meant rewriting every single page on the website. So that was no mean feat. I had a phenomenal team who helped deliver that. But so you do tend to lose that tone of voice and that brand within 2 clicks. But when you're selling a lifestyle, you've built a relationship with the reader. So they trust you, they trust your knowledge, they trust your authority, they trust your personality, they like who you are as a brand. And then they click on something and that's completely lost. You're kind of disrupting that relationship with them. So it's a really bad customer experience. So these things can often be seen as fluff, but actually they're really important. They're a really important tool for conversion.
And this, from a marketing perspective, like there's a whole thing about content marketing. That wasn't, if we walk back to 20, 30 years, correct me if I'm wrong, but we used to hear a lot less about content marketing. Content was more of communication, like white papers, information papers, and so forth. Now, with the new technologies coming in, content marketing sort of took up that marketing space a lot. It's spread its wings a lot. What's your view on that?
I think it's a really important tool for a brand, especially because it's such a noisy marketplace. I think it's a really important tool for a brand to showcase their authority and expertise. But I think where it falls down is that branded content or content marketing is chasing ranking, and it's not really thinking about how can I showcase, what can I add to the conversation. So for big companies that we work for, for example, insurance companies, one insurance product from another isn't that different.
Yeah.
What makes that choice is it somebody that you trust? Do you trust their expertise? Are they treating you well? And that comes through in your branded content, your content marketing.
Yeah.
So it's what can you add to the conversation as opposed to being in the conversation because it gets you rankings. So I think there needs to be a bit of a strategy change in branded content. I think it's really important, but you need to add your own unique authority and experience and expertise and personality to whatever it is you're saying, as opposed to just chasing those vanity metrics of we need to be part of this conversation. But then what happens is that you're not, you're just adding to the noise or the AI slop as we're getting, or before AI slop, it was digital landfill where people were just creating really meaningless bits of content marketing that weren't really resonating. I have a theory, it's called turning SEO into CRO, so it's not just about ranking, it's also about getting people onto your page and getting them to click and buy something. So people, that gets forgotten quite a lot because it's all just like churning out articles after article to hit the rankings, as opposed to thinking of it as a proper revenue generating tool.
And this is you mentioned about vanity metrics. Now, speaking of metrics, numbers that is on especially SME business owners, the numbers in their head at the moment is number of followers, number of views, number of sales conversions through their social media channels like LinkedIn. Even LinkedIn has a lot of support for LinkedIn would, because it's B2B, but from B2C, for B2C specific SME, what is your suggestion around having is there a standard number of followers? Does followers mean sales conversion? What does view mean from content marketing perspective?
So algorithms shift all the time. So, what I say now might be different in 6 months' time because there's a constant shift. But platforms like Instagram are shifting from vanity metrics like views and followers and moving towards psychodemographics and retention. So it's not how many people have viewed your video, it's how many people viewed it to the end. And the more that they view the whole thing, the more that they'll surface you and surface your content to non-followers and to increase your reach. So if reach is something that's important to you, which it should be, I don't think that is a vanity metric. The more people who know you as a small and medium enterprise, the better. But yes, just focus on that retention. And again, sort of going back to content marketing, it's by offering your own authenticity and your expertise. And the storytelling is really important. Everything's got a story to tell. Even if you're a plasterer, or even something as boring, dare I say it, like B2B SaaS. That's got a story as well that can resonate. There's a real human angle there, and that's what should come through in your social media. And that's it's not a vanity metric, but that's the metric that you should be chasing: retention. So make sure that you keep people on your site, and also that they're clicking through. Anything other than that is vanity. Followers isn't really that important anymore, because every social media platform surfaces your content to non-followers.
And so storytelling. So how do we storytell through content? I mean, what is storytelling anyway? It doesn't have to start from once upon a time, does it?
No. So storytelling has to have an emotional hook. So traditional storytelling, you've got intention. I want to do something. I'm a person, grow to love me. There's a intention, and then the action that I take in order to achieve that thing, and then the success or the resolution, or whatever it is. So that's the story arc, and that's really basic. What people forget is that there's the emotional angle. So, do they connect with you as a person? What's the emotion? Why do I need to achieve this thing? And sort of talking about B2B SaaS, you've got a product here which on the surface of it is really boring, but what it does is it frees up your time, or it frees up your mental load, or that sort of mental labour that you need to do. And that's the story. It's, I'm not using up my time doing this awful, laborious process, actually I can go to the gym, or I can spend more time with my family. That is the story, and that essentially is emotion. It's emotional hooks, and that's important throughout content. So people always think it is the once upon a time thing, but every product, every service does have a human element, because everything is designed for humans, right? And that's what we should focus, not features and facts. What's the benefit for the end user?
Yeah, and so when I first met you, we talked about emotions, and that kind of stayed with me. You've slightly touched on it as well. So from a content perspective, for any business owner, how important is it to sort of touch on the emotions of people? I mean, like, from marketing perspective, obviously, desire, need, your ICPs, and then all of that tailoring is always there, right?
Yeah.
But from practicality perspective, while you connect with your audience through your content, what is a safe level of vulnerability, and is that necessary, and how is that helpful on your content? Because that's the challenge I see on the clients, Production 3 clients. It's like, okay, but I want to show my best work, I want to do my case studies, I want to prove to the world that how great I am, and what I do and so forth. But I do struggle to sort of pull them down, like, be human, just talk about challenges as well of your finished job on your case study. Why just talk about successes, and that's eventually talking about emotions, isn't it? So when we talk about challenge, we're slightly pricking through the emotions. So tell us more about this emotional side of storytelling in the content.
So I think vulnerability is really important. It's whatever you're comfortable sharing, but it makes you more human. I used to work with a chief marketing officer, and she was fantastic on stage. She was owning that stage, and I used to look at her with so much admiration. So I could never do that. Conference rooms full of people, and I was chatting to her, sort of telling her, I don't know how you do it, and she said, "Oh my God, Helen, I shit myself every time," because that doesn't come across. But that instantly made her really human in my eyes. Even though she was the CMO of this big FTSE 100 company, it was like, oh wow, it made you more relatable. And I think for a SME business owner, you need to be the front of your business, because people don't buy products or businesses, they buy personalities, they buy trust, they buy expertise. So by making yourself vulnerable, and of course we don't want to say that sometimes we fail, because we think that might put people off. But the reality is that if you tell people that everything you do is great, you just become a bit unlikable and untrustworthy, because that's not true, that's not human. Everyone fails, and it's how you overcome that, it's what you learn from that. So it's not just saying, oh yeah, I messed up, it's I messed up and this is what I learned, or this is how I fixed it. So that is the story arc, it's the resolution of it as well. So that's really important. But always share what you're comfortable sharing, what you want the world to know, because once it's on the internet, you can't take it off.
Exactly. And so I've got this question from someone who really wanted me to ask you this question.
Oh gosh.
It's about hook.
Oh, right.
I think there is so much of misunderstanding about hook. Hook, I mean, I think it's been around since whenever a human being was. How do I, that 7 seconds impression thing, that I think is a hook. But I think social media has redefined how we understand hook.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, it seems to be a buzzword at the moment, doesn't it, across the whole of social. So the hook is basically whatever it is that grabs people's attention. So what is it?
Fishing net hook.
Yes. Yeah. So it's what grabs your attention.
Yeah.
And it's really strange on social media at the moment, because they talk about the hook and then they give you hooks that you should use and then tell you that you should be authentic. So it's, well, you're standardizing the hook and I'm not being authentic, because I'm not a girl from California that's going to go, hey, want to know how I did this? I'll do it in my own way. And there's no silver bullet as to what will resonate. But my advice would be your hook, it needs to grab attention. You need to think of it like a newspaper headline. What's the story? What's the benefit? Why should people want to know about it? So if you sort of put a journalist's hat on and think, right, what would a journalist write about this? What would the headline be? And then that's where you build on from there. And then conclude at the end with a CTA. But yeah, I would say as long as you sort of stick to that formula for a hook, grab attention by what's the story and summing it up.
Yeah.
And I would say we were saying about this earlier, like be a bit subversive, cause that little bit of friction, because that's what's gonna grab people's attention, as opposed to just churning out the same old thing that everybody else does.
Yeah.
In the set, using the same language as everybody else.
Yeah. I kind of view hook as a title of a magazine article. I mean, it's from the copywriting perspective as well. It's it's been around so much, but we've got this new content creators world that redefined hook as in the hook that we sort of put on our social media content.
Yeah.
And
it's watch me do this and go to that. It's
the visual hook, language hook, and so many. I think is so my 11-year-old tells me that that's not a good hook, and it always makes me wonder. And I'm like, what's your understanding of hook? Is it different to mine?
I suppose on social media they use it to burst onto your screen because you're scrolling, so you need something that's in your face. But then there are people who watch videos of people cleaning carpets.
That's a hook, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's no silver bullet. You just need to think, what's the story? What is it that, and also what do I need to do to grab attention? And it could be a language thing, but definitely lead with the benefit. What's in it? Why should I keep reading? Why should I keep watching? So what's the top story? So having a magazine way of thinking about it is perfect.
There's someone on social media, I don't want to shame anyone, but they're selling hooks, 50 hooks, buy it on £50. It's like, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
Good luck.
And then the next course will be how to be authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not really being authentic, you're being fed all these lines.
Yes, exactly. And so going back to the emotion topic, so how is, the AI revolution that we have? So we've got generative AI, I think we've started seeing a bunch of agentic AI doing things that we do, and how is that sort of impacting, and what is, from branding perspective, what is the one most important thing that we should ensure that our content is still human, and like you can I'm not against AI, but where's the balance there?
I'm all for agentic AI actually, because going back to the process that we talked about earlier, agentic AI can take away a lot of that grunt work and then make the whole process smoother, freeing up your writers, your copywriters, your content strategists to do a really good job finding those emotional hooks, and finding the story within that product and surfacing those stories and creating really good immersive journeys. So that's a good use of AI. But copywriting and content is so important throughout the whole journey because it links everything together. You have that, you can anticipate behaviour as well that a machine can't do. AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is, can't anticipate human behaviour. It doesn't understand human, like the things that piss us off or the things that make us happy. It doesn't understand that. Whereas you as a human, me as a writer, I would know that, and I can communicate it in a way that resonates. So that's the most important thing. And content, it can be whatever you make it. It could be fixing a headline and all of a sudden you've increased your click-through rate. Or it could be creating something transformational, a brand new app. And again, it's a really effective way to increase your ROI because it's efficient and it's low cost. But it's something that AI can't do because it can't understand the human condition, it can't anticipate human behaviour, and it won't find the story in your product or in your business or in your brand. And it can't convey brand personality because it just doesn't know, it doesn't understand.
Yeah. Now I forgot how we said we would conclude this podcast, but yeah. So what's your one message to the world then?
My one message to the world. Do I say this to camera?
You will.
I feel like I'm on Jerry Springer. My final thought is, I think I've said it really, but to sum it up, is AI cannot. The importance of content is that it resonates with your audience, and AI doesn't understand your audience. As much as you can program it, as much as you can prompt it, as much as it will learn, it will never understand, because humans are complicated and beautiful and evolving, and and the way that you can understand human problems and your product has to solve them is by adding in that human element. And as I said, language is so important. It built civilizations and it destroyed them if it was misused and absent. So that's what I have to say.
Right, so more coming next month probably. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.